Back to politics now. Texas Senator Ted Cruz outlining his wish list for the new GOP-led Congress at a recent conservative policy summit, calling for a major tax reform, saying Republicans should use their control of Congress to abolish the IRS.
In my view, there is a powerful populist instinct. To take the 110,000 employees at the IRS, to padlock the building, and to put all 110,000 of them down on our southern border.
Wow. Senator Cruz is later saying that was tongue-in-cheek. But his comments come as the tax agency says 9 Tea Party organizations that were part of the initial backlog of 145 targeted groups back in 2009, guess what? They're still awaiting final decisions. And of that 136 cases that have been cleared, just over 100 of them have actually been approved. So it's time to bring in Stephen Dinan, political editor for The Washington Times, for some explanation on this. What are we supposed to make of this, especially the case of the Albuquerque Tea Party?
Yeah, that's a really stunning one. They filed their application December 29th, 2009. Here we are 5 years, more than 1,800 days later. They're still waiting for approval. They've sent 1,000 pages of documents to the IRS. They've had 2 or 3 different back and forths with the IRS. They're right now trying to defend or explain activities that happened 2-3 years after they even made their initial application. They have no idea why they're held up. There have been other groups that were held up for 4 years that were just approved, back in December and back in October. The Albuquerque Tea Party, who's been waiting longer than them, says we don't know why we're still waiting. They haven't heard anything recent. Nobody knows. And that's, it's obviously why folks like Senator Cruz say maybe there's a better use for the IRS employees if they're not working on these applications. Well,
one of the excuses given to the Albuquerque Tea Party group and others was that, of course, this was low-level employees in Ohio who were carrying out this targeting, that it had nothing to do with the higher-ups or even as far up as the administration. They're not buying that, are they?
Not only are they not buying it, they say they have the evidence that's not true. They have letters, the responses in the 5 years of the back and forth, the responses come straight from the Treasury Department here in Washington. So they say, look, Washington was clearly involved, and in fact the documents say that the files are being reviewed in Washington. So these were decisions and actions taken at the highest levels, and overall they're still stuck there without tax-exempt status. They say they're losing an imprimatur of the federal government. They lose on status that they're trying to argue to people who are choosing between various Tea Party groups who to support. They lose out on a lot of different things by having the IRS do this. Mainly, they say the IRS has said that the targeting stopped. The Albuquerque Tea Party says, well, if the targeting is stopped, how come we haven't been approved yet?
Well, it goes so much deeper than that, because I remember reporting, 3-4 years ago on what seemed to be the decrease of the Tea Party movement in this country. Well, as it turns out, that may have totally been because none of these groups could actually be approved, which was maybe the whole political point of whoever is really behind it. We're going to find out someday, Stephen. We haven't yet, but we're going to find out all the details. Stephen Dinan, thanks so much.
My pleasure.